Well, so my guest for the morning, I have Solomon Boa. He's a member of parliament for Bunkrugu. And also in the studio is a member of parliament for Lower Manya Krobo. And Ebenezer Okleti Telabe is my guest. Okay, thanks for joining me, the two of you.
Thank you.
Thanks for, especially you, the last minute notice. Okay, we're very much happy. But unfortunately, we still have to continue talking on the subject of the NPP and the internal difficulties they are having. Just before the beginning of Friday, there was a medal of a certain gentleman who was said to not be part of those who demonstrated on behalf of Afoko, but rather against him, so to speak, if I get that correctly. Following that, there was an attack on him on people, suspected persons who were on a motorcycle, and following that he was stabbed severally and then he died. Since you're a member of the NPP, let me ask you this. What do you make of the incident that have been happening? Because following that, we've had suspension of 4 chairmen of constituencies in Ashanti and the rest.
Thank you. Let me use this opportunity to say good morning to your viewers all over the country, and maybe for them, but the whole world. First and foremost, my condolences to the bereaved family. This morning, I was listening to Joy News, and I was very touched with what the 61-year-old father of the victim said, and I was really very impressed, and I think that is so touching, and I want to say thank you to him. And what he said was that what is important is for everybody to ensure that there is order in the party, everybody to ensure that we approach whatever we are supposed to deal with as far as the party is concerned in a very decorous manner, but called for justice for the murdered son. And I think that is how it should go. You know, for me, I have always said that any issue that is internal, as far as political activities are concerned, be it NDC, be it NPP, PNC, CPP, what have you, any issue that is internal, and I have to, and as part of my fight to ensure that the right thing is done, that will give birth to the sharing of blood, I don't want to be part of it. It doesn't worth it. It's not worth it. And that is the more reason why I think that we need to condemn what has happened and ensure that justice is meted out to whoever is involved in this. I was very pleased this morning to hear from the side of the police that they are closing in on those who really perpetrated this crime, and that is the way to go. And I've always said that violence in any political party, whether you belong to that particular political party or not, should be condemned and should not be politicized, even though some of them come as a result of political activities. Because for all you know, if we don't come together to nip some of these things in the bud, today is about NPP, tomorrow it could be you. And that is where I think that everybody has to condemn this in toto and ensure that it doesn't, we nip this in the bud as far as our political activities are concerned. Because we have all agreed as a nation that the best way to run this country is with the use of TOM. We have agreed that military dictatorship is something that we abhor. We don't want any soldier to come and rule there. So if we've agreed to go the democratic way, the best thing is for all of us to come together and ensure that some of these things, when they happen, we eschew that mischief as far as what you think it will inure to your political agenda is concerned, and condemn it into and ensure that we come together and let justice be meted out. Because what is criminal is criminal. What is criminal is criminal. And
so you're saying there's nothing political about it, right? So that this is a crime is a crime.
A crime is a crime.
Okay.
That is my view. A crime is a crime. We should not just, because when we tie some of these things to, it was as a result of this happening because of a political activity, and for that matter, people try to massage the whole thing to the fact that we don't get to the real meat by punishing those who have done that. Then it loses its viability, and that is my take. And I think that this has to be condemned, and we should come together and stop over-politicization of the issue.
Well, from him being a member of the NPP, he will see this as over-politicization, but we know that this has a genesis.
Yes.
Is it that perhaps we're losing sight of what really the substance of the genesis is that may have come in it?
Yes, probably that is what is happening now.
Because if you look at the commentary, it seems...
Yes, because you see, we should not run away from the facts. One, I'm surprised that when it comes to MEDA, we want to look at it as an internal affair. But then, we will not want to look at how it all started. Look, if you look at what culminated in this MEDA, I mean, demonstrations, then, finally ended up with this, you would want to, what I would describe, you are just scratching the surface. But we need to look at the bottom. I mean, where the genesis of the whole issue. Was it necessary at all that Afoko was suspended? I heard one NPP MP coming out boldly to say that it was not necessary. If indeed you wanted to treat this as an internal party issue, because what are the reasons? What are the reasons that were given?
Well, summarily, he misconducted himself.
Well, but you see, the point is that if you look at the bigger picture and what is happening now, you look at where the whole thing started. I believe that even if at the end of the day, we all, yes, he misconducted himself, but what led to that? Because already, this gentleman, Afoko, to start even before they went into the elections, we all know what he went through. And definitely, action would result in a reaction, you understand? And therefore, what I believe is that, one, there are people who, from the word go, did not want to work with Afoko. And that is what has culminated in all that we are seeing.
You mean pre-Congress?
Of course,
or pre-conference?
Yes, because to the extent that, for the first time in the history of this country, somebody was going for vetting, was referred to Interpol for, what? You realize that this is somebody who was not wanted, but he himself did not even see it, because he felt he was a party person, the people, and indeed the Congress voted for him massively, which nobody, has any doubt about. You cannot, take away from him. At the end of the day, was the man allowed to act as a chairman? Did he do his work? Was he given the space? No. And that's what is happening. So I believe that some of these things that are happening now are as a result of the fact that he was, the chairman was not giving space to operate. And he also has following. So if we want to really, really deal with the issue, let us look at the genesis, what really started the whole thing. And that is how, if you talk about justice, I would then,
but justice has to be served for,
yes.
For a young man losing his life, whether it's because of internal political wrangling or not, it's not fair.
It is.
It's a criminal issue.
It is criminal.
But you're saying that as a political animal or actor,
yes,
you feel that beyond the delivery of justice,
that is the point.
Is making sure that the NPP also deals with the genesis of the matter,
the point.
The root cause of the matter.
Yes, and that is the only way this can be eliminated. People must act responsibly. We are in the era of rule of law. NPP prides itself as a party that believes in the rule of law. Let them, act accordingly, to avoid some of these things. Because what is happening now, it's not good, it is not healthy for body politic, because at the end of the day, somebody, you would think that it's NPP, but it's affecting the whole country. Because if every now and
then... How is
it
affecting the whole country?
If every now and then Ghana police will have to mobilize to their headquarters.
Well, that's their duty. You are making a meal out of it.
No. Well, that's what you expect me to say. Because it is not funny, to find police every now and then going to, the headquarters, mobilizing. It's not free. It's not for fun. You understand? There are other things that we have to do with our money. Today, they are even contemplating establishing a police station at the NPP headquarters.
Oh,
and that will be at the courts.
You are kidding.
Because what? No, you see,
that's
if you want to have a
belittling the matter. I mean, that's belittling the matter.
Are you sure?
Or
I'm serious.
Who has contemplated?
I am serious about what I'm saying. If every 2-3 days you have to, marshal forces to the place to go and call, to go and what do you call it, prevent people from killing each other. You must as well, settle them there and take care of them. But you see, what I want to say is that NPP must show leadership. The flag bearer must show
we'll come back
leadership.
to the subject of who has to resolve the problems within the NPP. I know you want to add to it, but once you add to it, how does it make you feel that, for example, if let's say you're a neutral person, you just want your flag bearer to go on and do his work, campaign vigorously, wrestle power from the NDC. You're not whether pro-Afoko or anti-Afoko, you're not pro-Nana, anti-Nana. You want to do your work as a political party member, a member representing the party in parliament, etc. How does it make you feel if every time you have to be on the edge and be defending some of these actions or inactions?
No, obviously, to say the least, there's nobody that will be happy or is happy with whatever is happening at the moment. We should call a spade a spade. But before I even come to that, my brother, you can be sure that at this point in our political activities, any mischief that NDC will play, they will do it. And that's exactly what my good friend is doing. Please, that's what my good friend is doing. And that was the more reason why from the word go, I told you that as for politics, when issues of this come up, we those who are at the core of it, you are a member of parliament, I'm a member of parliament, and we know very well that whatever is ugly is ugly. And we can once a while, we can try to play some little mischief. But I'm sure that is what is now on your tongue. Let me take you down memory lane to appreciate that this is not the first time that a stalwart in a political party has been suspended.
Of course.
This is not the first time. During the era of President Kufuor, a lot of people were suspended. Even I remember, a NEC member who came out to say that in 2000 that President Kufuor was not going to win the elections. He was fired within 24 hours. I remember this. It happened to Haruna Seku. I remember it happened to President Kufuor's 1996 campaign manager, Alhaji Inusa. He was fired when he made a lot of disparaging remarks. This happened in NDC before Kofi Adam was suspended. In fact, as I talk to you now, it's still happening in NDC where a lot of parliamentary aspirants are suspended here and there. Why are they not on rampage? Or why are they not on the rampage? That's the million-dollar question that you and I should be asking ourselves. And that is the more reason why it's always very important that when we talk of internal structures, one's respect for internal structures is very paramount. And you put it very right. I am.
So you're saying that it is because people are not respecting the internal structures?
I think so. We must be very sincere with ourselves.
That transcends our argument to the subject of leadership.
Yes, let me management. But I need to make my point. Let me make my point. So, if because I have one vote, just as you have one vote in your party.
Yeah.
So if 2 or 3 members of a political party, a big political party like the NPP, petitioned, and the National Executive Committee felt it very wise to call you to come and respond to those issues, I don't think it was out of place. Let me I know Afoko. I will call Afoko a brother. I know him more than you. He knows me more than you. So we're not here about individuals. We're here to talk about the structures, the systems that we have set in place as political parties that we need to follow to ensure that things work well for all of us to live in peace and dignity. And that is the more reason why we're in leadership. So my brother, let's not play so much mischief. So it's very important that if, because you stated that somebody was not given the opportunity to operate, if the opportunity is there for you to come and for you to let the whole world, not even Ghana, know that no, these things are happening because of ABZ. These petitioners, they have come out with these issues because of ABZ. I tell you that by this time, everything would have been very calm. Because it's in every fight, it's very important to carry the masses along. If at a point in time you begin to lose the sympathy of the masses, it calls into question. Then you begin, it's a worry, because may God forbid, and it will never happen, assuming that the other divide in the party had just come out in their numbers, also they were going to demonstrate. Do you know the numbers?
Okay.
That's the million-dollar question you should ask. So it's not something that we should play so much politics with. We are, Asaware, every member of the other divide.
Do you agree that you have factions in the party?
For
no,
me,
just a yes and no. Yes and no.
Where we are
do you
now,
agree?
No, certainly.
Yes
if certainly people went to elections.
Okay. So if you agree, who do you think currently, in the party, can calm the storm, so to speak, can bring all the feuding factions together?
My brother, to be sincere with you, I've said it on one or two occasions, and somebody said it was not on a lighter note. But you see, it is not easy to give birth to true classic twins like Baumia and Nana in 2016. The country is in labor to give birth to these two gentlemen. It is, so you can be sure that the woman is going to labor for a very long time, and it goes with a lot of pain. Unfortunately, it is this level of pain which we are not. Yeah, I'll get to that point. I'll get to that point. You are talking of factions, and I've told you.
No. The question I asked is,
I've told you. Yes.
You have agreed.
Yes,
I'm saying that with all the difficulties, because I believe for the last 2 months. Yes. Each week we've been talking about NPP and the difficulty. I'm asking you, which crop of people do you think can calm the storm, can come to the middle of the storm and say, just like the way Moses put his rod in the Red Sea, the storm should be still?
I think first,
because you are an experienced party member, that's why I'm asking you.
Yes, I think first and foremost, the most.
Don't go around it.
No, I'm not going around it at all. Sometimes it's good to at least come out with some, try to go into details so that people can appreciate, because we're talking to the whole nation. I think that it's very important, first and foremost, even before you talk of who should come in to make sure that the gap is bridged. If there was this high perception that we had the Alan faction and then Nana faction, along the line, Alan came on board. He was in the trenches with Nana, campaigning almost everywhere. A clear manifestation that the people were ready to move together. Then all of a sudden, you see some of these things emerging. And that is the more reason why at the moment it is very difficult for you to be talking about who can come in. What is important is for us to respect the party structures, pure and simple, because the party has a constitution. The constitution is supreme. We have decided that let's respect this because we are human beings, we are creatures of emotions. Once in a while, these things will pop up. Then we go back and then address, maybe visit the constitution to see what are the things that are enshrined that we have to follow to ensure that there is order, there's a decorum. That is what people are missing. So right now, I want to call on every Tom, Dick and Harry, from the former president to all the party bigwigs, that what is important is for them to call on everybody to respect the party structure so that together we can move.
I see that many of the guests, when they're in a very difficult situation, because sometimes, who do you think because now, if you listen to all the public discourse on this matter, is about leadership. Who is a leader who can come in and say, if we're talking about not an appointed leader, but somebody who has the consensus, or you know.
Thank you very much. You see, there's one thing that my brother must really appreciate, that we are operating in a political space, and therefore, it is politics. You know, in spite of the fallouts, it's all politics, because this wouldn't have happened but for politics. And therefore, if people are reading political meanings, then you must blame yourself for bringing those things up. You understand? Blame those who are misconducting themselves. Then we will not talk about it. But the fact is that, my brother, if they cannot really point anybody in their party who can, say, let, what do you call it, the storm be still or whatever, then I don't think that they are prepared to lead this country of ours. Let me tell you something.
That's
if
not
indeed,
fair comment.
yes, it is fair. Because look at the numbers.
I'm asking you, who do you think can come?
I'm coming. I'm coming to that. I'll give you, an answer. The fact is that Nanado had close to 97%. What it means is that people listen to him. You understand? And from the word go, if Nana had come out to tell the teaming supporters, please cool down. I am prepared to work with this man and that man, that would have been the end.
Do you think that the mandate is still with him?
It is with him. Look, even in the law court, sometimes the judges look at the implications of whatever they come out with. You understand? The implication of their judgment. I remember very well I was in court. It was it has to do with internal political whatever. And what the judge said was that, after all, you belong to the same family. Okay? After coming out with the facts, if I pronounce judgment, if any of you guilty, the implications
to have on the rank and
on the rank and file. So go home and sit, resolve it. And we did, just that. So it is not always that you have to say, oh, a party structure, whatever. Somebody must at least bend a little.
Who has to?
Nanado, of course, must come down.
Why hasn't in the party's constitution? He doesn't have the mandate.
He is the leader now.
The legal mandate.
No, he is the leader now.
It's not like the NDC where once you elect a flag bearer, he becomes the leader.
No, he is. He's the leader of your party now, isn't it? If they don't have by their constitution.
Yeah, but for example, he's the leader of the party.
Yes.
But if somebody is said to be misconducting himself,
you see,
for which that
that
very misconduct has led to a petition brought up for disciplinary actions to be taken against him. That means that evoking the tenets of the constitution.
No, you see, that is where
the regulations.
That is where you must show leadership, in the sense that it is not always the case that let's just follow the rules and regulations. Keke. You understand? Just like that. The fact is that you look at the implication of whatever decision you take. Because now, look at the speed with which the petition was was looked at, and how fast they took a decision on the man.
That's wrong. You cannot say that.
Please.
No. If you say, no, I need to come in here because
let me tell you.
I know you have the evidence. You can continue with the mischief.
No,
but
it is
not
not
that the speed with which the petition was looked at is completely wrong.
Okay, that's okay.
It's completely wrong.
In any case, the petition was looked at and they came out with. And I believe that the same people, if indeed they want party cohesion, they should have gone beyond just looking at, do
you think, under the circumstances, the status quo could have continued, where the majority of the leadership were raising concerns about a focused management?
You see,
and then also on the other side, perhaps maybe people in the camp of the flag bearer also were raising concerns.
You said majority. Who did that census, or who did that whatever?
I just chose my word.
You see, by the point there, let me tell you something. If you look at those who even petition, to the extent that the members of the committee, a member
was part of
it. You understand? These are people who have already made up their mind. So seriously, my brother, you see, let us call a spade a spade. Let us be fair, because we are all politicians, and some of these things are happening. I am not saying this because I want to see your party break up. No.
In fact, you can't even break that. Cannot even break
what
a
I'm saying is that.
all.
No, but you see, what is happening now? What is happening now? If it continues, my brother, you don't blame anybody. But the fact is that if you have a situation where a member of the committee was part of the initiators of the petition. Then there's a big question mark. You understand?
Well, somebody will say that you, the NDC, don't be raising concerns for the NPP. But let's change the subject. Let's change the subject. I think you are milking the issue. You are milking the issue.
Why?
No, exactly so. My brother, the most important thing is that in your party today, I'm using that as a very good example. I'm saying, yesterday, one of the parliamentary candidates, aspirants for Walwala constituency, was suspended.
Yeah, you should have
suspended a public
then you
report.
could have suspended
was it
Apoko
the,
before.
Excuse me. Was it the president? Was it the president who is going to be His Excellency, who is going to be the flag bearer to be that did the suspension, or the general secretary? The regional executives did that.
You are comparing,
at the national level, please. At the national level, we also we have the national officers. So
No.
Yeah,
My brother.
the most what?
Okay, let's change the subject. I see the two of you.
brother.
Politics. Somebody will say in local parliament, politics they switch you. Government is on track at clearing all debt owed the ECG as part of conditions required to release this amount, $489 million under the Millennium Challenge account or Compact 2. And figures being reported as at 2015 August show that the government owed the ECG $500 million. But it's Mr. Oklete, at this juncture, we need to call a spade a spade. If we're saying the ECG should be rid of debt, and we're having management concession being ceded, it also means that they have to cut costs. And if entities cut costs, they have to make sure they reduce jobs so that they reduce burden on the payroll or the books.
It does not necessarily mean that.
Will this lead to efficiency?
It does not necessarily mean
Will this lead to efficiency? If it doesn't mean that, would this lead to efficiency?
Certainly, if you are under such pressure, debt, investment is stifled, and therefore you have a lot of problems. Because ECG is having problems now because they have, they have they find themselves in a very difficult situation where transmission of power is a problem. They need to replace equipment. They are looking for money to replace equipment, and therefore what it means is that if, let's say, Achimota substation with one transformer, and therefore if there's a need for them to do some maintenance, they have to put off their transformer. What it means is that they are going to lose a lot of revenue over a period. Now the situation we have now is that these people are coming in with some support, right? We're going to have extra. Okay, it's not going to lead to job losses, but rather creating more space in terms of revenue for them to operate, because you shift onto one a transformer, and then you do your maintenance on the other one. Then you continue to rake in whatever revenue. You understand? So it is not that once you bring in, and therefore it's going to lead to jobs. No, it depends on how much is being put into the whole project. And I believe that this is going to lead to some improvement in terms of equipment, in terms of their transmission, and then maintenance, so that they can have constant supply of power, and therefore revenue can also be constant. You understand? So certainly it is not. But once the issue of a private person, comes up, people read meanings into it. But this is not an outright sale of ECG at all.
Mr. Boa, what do you make of it? Now, at this time, we all agree that we need efficiency. And if it's the concession to a private entity, that would ensure the management is adequate. There's also attraction of adequate capital investment into ECG. All well and good.
First and foremost, we need to ask ourselves a very simple question.
Which is?
How did we get to this level? Very relevant. How did we get to the level that this huge amount of debt is hanging on the neck of ECG? You are talking about efficiency. Because we have, if there's the need for us to bring foreign investors into the system so that they can inject some level of efficiency and honors, we need to be very, very careful in the way we are going to sell out ECG. Because I describe this as a sale.
No, but just like we had
I just describe this. Yeah, I describe this as a sale, and I keep asking myself. Then it means that maybe 20 years from now there will be nothing at all that will be called Ghana, because if out of our inefficiency as a country, we will always have to get to a point where we think that we see it as a need to throw in the towel and now ask for investors to come into the country and take over debts and honors and then begin to run our affairs for us. Then it tells us that we really have
Boy,
to
it's not an issue of nationalism or patriotism. We have to be realistic about the issue. The point is that if we want efficiency, we need proper management, and perhaps, because I don't think the management structure is going to exist throughout the lifespan of ECG, but also to set the right footing. Then the question should be, is that the right way to go, or we can do it better?
My brother, I don't think that is the right way to go. Let me tell you that ECG has the capacity to run to run the system very well when they are given the opportunity. It is just because we've pushed them to a point where their hands are not tied and they don't know where to do. Because give them.
So you're saying if government or the various state institutions were paying ECG,
I think
they
so.
wouldn't, the debt accruals wouldn't have been 500
we wouldn't have got,
and then they would have been better.
We wouldn't have gotten to where we are today. It is just because we are now finding this debt has accrued. The authorities that are asking themselves all the relevant questions. How do we get rid of these debts? They are not getting answers to it, and that's the more reason why we are getting to this point. And that's where I asked myself. I asked that question initially. How did we get here? Was it necessary after all that we are now throwing in the towel and we have to give this up? We are. That is exactly what it means.
We are not throwing the towel.
Then let's try to ensure that we pay the debt to we pay the debt and allow ECG to run for the next 2 or 3 years.
But do you agree that the ECG needs investment?
Yes.
But if they need investment, doesn't necessarily mean that we should call in a foreign investor to take over.
That's what I mean. Well, I don't know. I don't really understand.
Well, because you should understand
when you talk about efficiency,
you want the funding, and they give you conditionality.
That's the point. You see, nobody will give you money for free.
But he's saying that we shouldn't just go.
We are not
cap
just
in arms, go begging.
We are not
and
just
thinking that because of our inefficiency, we always have to.
It is not. You see, efficiency. It's not just if you're talking about management and efficiency or the management of our systems. It's not just the managers. You also need the tools. You understand, to manage whatever, and that is the reason why I cited that example. ECG, yes, they may have all the technocrats who can manage, but the fact is that if I want to maintain, if I want to do regular maintenance, okay, of my station, now the situation is that I have to put off my equipment, and therefore power will be cut to industries. That is where I get my revenue from. What do I do? If there's somebody who says, look, I'll give you a transformer, let us go into an agreement. When you put off your transformer A, you go on to B, people continue to work, and therefore you generate the revenue. You understand that you need the needed revenue for to invest into your company. Did you call that? Do you call that? It's not a big deal. You understand?
I get your point.
You understand?
So either way, you're saying there's efficiency.
There's efficiency. Yeah, that's at the end of the day. That is
with an overall objective to make sure that it becomes a vibrant institution.
People get power, and the institution becomes.
All right. My guests this morning have been Ebenezer Oklete-Telabi. He's a member of parliament for Lower Manya, and thanks for joining me this morning. And also we have Solomon Bois. He's a member of parliament for Bunkrugu. Thanks for joining me, Mr. Bois. We're taking a break. When we come back, we're having entertainment for you. Do stay on.